Welcome, friends. I'm so glad you're here today for another uplifting moment of Christian motivation. Have you ever found yourself asking, God, why am I going through this? Why is everything falling apart? If that's you, I want you to lean in, because what feels like a breakdown might just be the breakthrough God is using to build you. See, God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't let the storm rage in your life without a purpose. He uses the very struggle you're in to strengthen you for what's coming next. What you see as a setback, God sees as preparation. What feels like an ending is often the beginning of something greater. Look at Gideon. He was hiding in a winepress, afraid of his enemies, feeling unqualified and weak. But God called him a mighty warrior while he was still in hiding. God didn't wait for Gideon to feel strong. He spoke to his potential, not his current situation. The pressure Gideon felt wasn't meant to crush him. It was meant to call out the warrior within him. And the same is true for you. You might be in a winepress right now, a place of fear, a place of insecurity, a place of doubt. But let me tell you something. The winepress is not your final destination. God is using that pressure to refine you, to build your faith muscles, and to position you for His promise. Sometimes, the hardest seasons in our lives are the ones where God does His most profound work. The pressing, the crushing, the breaking. They are all part of the process. Just like grapes are pressed to produce wine, God allows certain pressures in our lives to produce something greater within us. James 1:2-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." God is building something in you through the pressure. He's not just letting you go through hard times for the sake of it. He's strengthening your character, expanding your faith, and preparing you for the battles ahead. Sometimes God's silence feels like abandonment, but His quiet moments are often where He's working the most. A delay isn't a denial, it's divine preparation. God's timing is never off. We often want answers right away, solutions instantly, and breakthroughs immediately. But God's process doesn't work on our timeline. His silence doesn't mean He's absent. It means He's working beneath the surface, aligning everything according to His perfect plan. Think about Bartimaeus, the blind beggar who sat by the roadside, calling out to Jesus. People told him to be quiet, to sit back down, but he cried out even louder, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus stopped. In the middle of the crowd, in the middle of the noise, Jesus heard his cry and restored his sight. Why? Because his waiting wasn't wasted. It was a stage for God's glory to shine even brighter through His miracle. Your delay doesn't mean God has changed His mind. It means He's shaping you, so that when the door opens, you'll be ready to walk through it. Stop mistaking God's preparation as His absence. Just because you don't see the seed growing doesn't mean the roots aren't getting stronger. The longer the wait, the deeper the roots. God is using every second of your delay to strengthen you, to deepen your trust in Him, and to prepare you for the promise He's about to fulfill. Let me remind you, the storm you're facing is not the end of your story. It's a part of your testimony. The very thing that feels like it's breaking you might be the thing God is using to build you. The struggle you're enduring isn't pointless. It's part of God's divine strategy. The enemy wants you to think the storm is a sign that God has left you, but the storm is actually proof that you're still on course. The disciples were in a boat when a storm hit. They panicked. They thought Jesus didn't care, but He was right there, sleeping, calm, at peace. Why? because the storm wasn't stronger than the Savior. Jesus didn't stop the storm because he knew the storm couldn't stop them. The storm you're facing isn't stronger than your God. The wind may be loud, the waves may be high, but the one who speaks to the storm and says, "Peace, be still," is in your boat. Your struggle today will be the story you tell tomorrow. The very thing that tried to break you will be the testimony that sets someone else free. God uses storms not to punish you, but to position you. He allows you to go through the storm so that when you come out on the other side, you will know it was only by His grace that you made it. Growth often happens in hidden places, in the dark, in the unseen moments, in the quiet seasons when it feels like nothing is moving. Think about a seed. When you plant a seed, it doesn't sprout immediately. It spends time underground, breaking open, pushing through the soil before you ever see a sign of life. Hard times are never wasted in God's hands. They are the very tools He uses to shape, refine, and strengthen us for what's ahead. Every tear, every struggle, every moment of uncertainty is a piece of a bigger picture that He is weaving together for our good. Just like gold is purified in fire, we are made stronger through trials, learning endurance, faith, and trust in the one who never fails. The storm you are in is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to develop you. The waiting season is not punishment. It is preparation. The breaking you feel is not the end. It is the beginning of a breakthrough that only God can orchestrate. Joseph's pit led to a palace. Gideon's fear turned into victory. Bartimaeus' waiting led to healing. And the disciples' storm led to a revelation of Jesus' power. Your struggles are not in vain, and your suffering is not forgotten. God is growing you in the hidden places, strengthening your roots, so that when your moment comes, you will stand firm, unshakable, and ready to walk fully in His purpose. What feels like a delay is actually divine alignment, and what seems like an obstacle is often an open door in disguise. The same God who spoke light into darkness, who brought life from death, and who turned mourning into dancing, is the same God working in your life right now. Your pain has a purpose. Your faith is being built, and your story is not over. God is just getting started. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep moving forward, because what He has planned for you is greater than anything you could ever imagine. Just because you don't see growth doesn't mean God isn't working. The roots are getting stronger. The foundation is being laid. God grows you in the dark so that when you step into the light, you'll be unshakable. So what do? We don't quit. We don't shrink back. We don't let fear dictate our faith. We trust. We believe. We stand firm. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." That means even the heartbreak, even the loss, even the confusion, God is weaving it together for your good. He's growing something in you: patience, strength, faith, because the next season of your life requires a version of you that's stronger than who you are right now. So don't despise the hard times. Embrace them. Don't curse the storm. Conquer it. God is working behind the scenes. You may not see it, but He's setting you up for something greater. Your pain has a purpose. Your struggle has a strategy, and your storm has a Savior. Trust Him. Hold on. Keep moving forward, because God isn't